Hi, my name is Adam Jacobo, and today we'll be reading Story of Cinco, First Home Run, written by Genaro Moreno, illustrated by Saúl Aguilera. This is a very inspirational story, not just for children, but for adults as well. Let's get started, shall we? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Ring, ring, ring! Cinco's alarm wakes him right up. The door to his room opens and the voice of his father enters his room. Wake up, Cinco! You don't want to be late for your baseball game! Cinco runs out of his room and into the kitchen to have breakfast with his father, mother, and sister Penny. When Cinco is done eating with his family, he goes outside to feed his dog, Sunny. Cinco loves playing baseball. Cinco has been playing baseball since he was 4 years old. When Cinco was younger, he had a hard time learning how to play the game. But one day, Cinco met a bird named Mr. B. Mr. B was a very smart bird who helped Cinco hit his first home run. Cinco was so proud that he kept the ball in his room as a reminder of the importance of believing in himself. When he first picked up the bat, Cinco had a hard time making contact with the ball. Cinco was so nervous he didn't even want to show up for the games because every time he stepped up to the baseball plate, he would strike out. One thing that made it hard for Cinco to concentrate was all the screaming from the fans in the stands during the game. Every time Cinco struck out, he would begin to cry. His teammates would try to cheer him up, but Cinco wouldn't stop crying. One day, Cinco was practicing batting in the backyard by swinging at a baseball tied to a tree. His father had noticed that Cinco was struggling with his batting, so he decided to hang a baseball from a tree tied to a rope to help Cinco practice his batting. Even in the backyard, Cinco would miss the ball with every swing. Sunny stood by Cinco, watching him grow more and more frustrated. After a while, Cinco had lost all hope of ever hitting the ball, when suddenly, a bird flew by and stood on top of the tree branch where the baseball was tied. As Cinco turned and said to Sunny, "Why can't I hit the ball?" the words, "You need to believe in yourself," came from above. Cinco looked around wondering where the words had come from. Then he heard them again. "Believe in yourself and you'll hit the ball." "Who said that?" replied Cinco. "Look up here," said the bird. Cinco, with a surprised look on his face, stared straight up and saw a bird wearing a gray suit standing on a tree branch. Cinco had asked the bird, "You can talk?" "Yes," replied the bird. "Yes, I can talk." "How is it that a bird can talk?" replied Cinco. "How is it that you can't hit the ball?" replied the bird. "Who are you and where did you come from?" asked Cinco. "My name is Mr. B," said the bird. "I'm from the big city. I belong to Mr. Success. He is my owner. Every morning, when he goes to his office, he opens my cage and lets me fly wherever I want." Then, Cinco asked, "What do you mean, believe in myself?" "Listen," replied Mr. B. "The only way you'll be able to hit the ball is if you believe you can do it. I've flown miles and miles around the world and have heard some of the greatest coaches tell their players what I'm about to tell you," said Mr. B. Cinco, with his eyes wide open in amazement, sat down in an old chair in his backyard. Mr. B went on, "But first, you need to learn how to enjoy the game of baseball all over again." "How?" replied Cinco. "Get a piece of paper and a pen, and I will tell you," said Mr. B. First, you need to want to play the game of baseball. If you really don't enjoy playing, it's going to be very hard to learn how to play. Second, make a habit of writing down all the positive things you have accomplished playing baseball and what you want to improve. You can start by writing down that you are a very fast runner. An example of something you would like to accomplish would be to make contact with the ball. Third, practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the better you will become. Don't worry about trying to play like professionals at this stage in your life. All big leaguers were once like you. They also started small and built on what they had learned. Fourth, if you want to hit the ball, believe that you will hit the ball before you swing the bat, and it will happen. When you are in the batting box, tell yourself over and over, I will hit the ball. Fifth, block all the bad thoughts out of your mind and focus on what you need to do. Only listen to the good things. When you learn to do these things, you will be ready to play. With that, Mr. B flew away before Cinco was able to ask any more questions. Cinco called it a day and went into his house. The following morning was the day of the big game. Cinco's team was playing Sharks, who had not lost a game all season. Cinco had heard that the Sharks had a pitcher who could throw so fast no one had ever hit any of his pitches. People said his fastball could make your helmet spin right off your head. The only thing Cinco could do now was believe in himself and remember what his friend Mr. B had told him. Usually, Cinco didn't get to bat in most games because he wasn't in the lineup. Throughout the season, Cinco had spent most of his time on the bench, listening to all the bad things people had to say because he couldn't hit the ball. But today was his opportunity to prove to himself and everyone else that he could hit the ball. Inning after inning went by and Cinco had not had a chance to bat. The bottom of the last inning had come. The score remained tied 0-0. Finally, the coach decided to bring Cinco up to bat. Cinco kept repeating over and over what Mr. B had told him. I can hit the ball. I can hit the ball. Your turn, said his coach. Slowly, Cinco got up from the bench, feeling more confident than ever before. He picked up his bat and his helmet and went into the warm-up circle. All the while, Cinco kept reminding himself that all he needed to do was believe in himself and he would be able to hit the ball. Cinco stepped into the plate while the Sharks' strongest pitcher looked down on him. Batter up, said the umpire. Never been more ready than today, whispered Cinco. Cinco repeated over and over that today was the day he would hit the ball. The pitcher prepared himself, and then came the pitch. Cinco, with all of his strength, swung the bat and missed. Strike one! Screamed the umpire. Cinco readied himself for the next pitch. Whoom! Came the ball, zooming like a train to the plate. Strike two! Screamed the umpire. Even with 2 strikes, Cinco repeated what his friend Mr. B had told him as he grabbed this baseball bat and prepared for the next pitch. Whoom! Came the next pitch. Then, with all of his strength, Cinco swung his bat and pow! Went the ball. Cinco could not believe what he was seeing. The ball went further and further over the home run fence. Everyone in the bullpen jumped for joy. Cinco's family and friends yelled out Cinco's name with excitement. Cinco helped this team beat the Sharks with an amazing home run. Now, every time Cinco walks into his room, he sees the home run ball on his shelf. By believing in himself and remembering what Mr. B had told him, Cinco was able to make contact with the ball and hit a very important home run. Cinco never saw his friend Mr. B again, but up to this day, he still thanks him before every game. "Ready, Cinco?" asked his father. "Born ready," says Cinco. Cinco's important lesson: all you need is to believe in yourself. Mr. B. The end.